Spoonie channel where we are unfiltered, unafraid, and pain recognizes pain. I went full Sasha Fierce on this makeup. I don't know, it got way away from me, way darker than I expected it to be, but when I was done, I just decided to roll with it. And I threw on some of the biggest, spikiest lashes that I had and just decided to serve it to you today. I love to play with makeup. Love, love, love to play with it. So when I get a chance and I get rolling and I can kind of just get inside my head and think, it's a fun time for me. I wanted to talk to you guys today about my baby boy. And if you don't know, my baby boy is going to be 21 this month, so not a baby. But I wanted to talk to you about how we dealt with my disease throughout his childhood. And then I went and talked to him. I would have loved to have him here, but look guys, he is a college student doing computer coding. He has a job, he does BJJ, he works out, he is a busy, busy boy. So, you know, he'll be on, and I'll throw a picture of him up here because he's just so handsome and I love him so much, but I called him and said, hey, let's take 20 minutes and let's talk about how you felt when you found out certain things, how you handled it. That way I can kind of put it out there to you. I know that a lot of you have kids, and never in a million years, this isn't a parenting channel, I'm not telling you how to parent your kids, but I thought it'd be interesting now that my son is an adult for you to hear our mindset as, you know, my disease progressed and what we did, and his mindset as my disease progressed and what he wished things were different. FYI, Spoonie, this is like Sasha Fierce didn't even take this nasty old crusty dusty nail polish off, so Spoonie life. And if you don't know, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, I'm a loony Spoonie, and I have ankylosing spondylitis, fibromyalgia, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, TMJ. You list it, I've probably got it, for real. Autoimmune is a bitch. That's just the bottom line. So I want to kind of start from the beginning. I know if you watch my diagnosis video, you know that I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis and all of these things. Not TMJ, I mean things pile up, but basically ankylosing spondylitis, Ehlers-Danlos, and fibromyalgia, all at the age of 26. And if you watch my love stories, you know that at 26, my son was 8 years old. So when I first got diagnosed, 26 years old, we were scuba diving, we were in taekwondo tournaments. I've told you this before. I mean, I just can't express enough to you how active we were. I was doing BJJ. And here's the funny thing. I'm just going to say, like, I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a great instructor friend of ours. His name is Josh. He's just awesome. He runs a local, that's where my son works and does BJJ. He has a local place called the Training Grounds, and we owe him so much. We really, really do. And I was doing BJJ, and like at night, my husband was having to pop my shoulders back into joint. And it's so funny because I'm sure there's a group of people that go and tell their doctors, but I don't know. People, you guys have to tell me, am I the only one that just has their spouse pop their shoulders back in and go about their day and never tell anyone? Is it just me? So we were so active, and at 26 there was hip pain and shoulder pain, but everything was manageable. Everything was manageable, and I'm going to say it before and I've said it again. I've got a pain tolerance. I can handle some pain. I really can. I'm not saying I'm some big bad person. There are people who have it far worse than me, and if I think about it, I'm going to cry. I really, really am, because either way. But I can handle some pain. So from 26 to, I'll say about 31, 32, I acted like nothing was wrong. I did everything. I fished. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I did Taekwondo. We scuba dove. We scuba dove. Where is it dived? I don't know. And I can't even think of all the other things that we did. I mean, we were just so active. We live in Florida, so 365 days a year, you can basically be doing something. We camped, either way. And Once it got to 32, we'll just say 32, I really can't remember, things started to get uncontrollable for me in the pain department. It got to the point where I went, okay, it's getting to the point where I'm sick, I can't sleep, I can't stay still, the pain is just all that I can think about. And that's when I went back to my rheumatologist, because I'll once again, full disclosure to you, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. And if we're beyond it, maybe you did, but if you are just watching this and you are searching for your diagnosis, or you haven't started, don't let it go this long. But I had gotten diagnosed, I had gotten put on a biologic, and then I really didn't see my rheumatologist. The biologic didn't work. I was feeling okay. There were some insurance things. My husband had switched jobs, and I didn't see my rheumatologist again. I was so bad. So bad. I was so bad. Hear me. So by 32, I was paying for it, my friends. I was paying for it. And I went, and things changed. Things changed in our household. And at that point, my son is 14. So he's at the age where he's starting to, like he's retaining things. He's understanding that our lives are changing. We're not scuba diving anymore. Mom's not doing taekwondo anymore. We don't camp anymore. And this is one of the decisions that I made. And this is not just sorry, that was my son texting me more information. But it wasn't just a my son decision. It was everybody. Look, let's be honest. Let's have a real moment between us. When we're chronically ill, and especially if we're in chronic pain, we are big old fakers. Big old fakers. We fake being well for the sake of others. We do. And for my son especially, as his mother, there's nothing in the world that I would want to protect him from more than seeing one of the two people in his life that are his support system, that are always supposed to be there, that are always supposed to be healthy, in this condition. I couldn't do it. And honestly, for those of you that are like, well, why didn't your husband say something? Let's get real again. Up until my stroke a year ago, I really was not 100% honest with my husband either. And it is not because you want to be a liar. We know that. It's because you're thinking of others. You don't want the pain that you feel for them to feel. It's your pain. It's not their pain. So you want to save them from that pain. I'm not saying it's right. And a year ago I had to make an agreement with my husband that I would be 100% honest with him and the doctors, because we lie to the doctors too. We tell the doctors we're fine when we're not. But back to my son. So we just kind of stopped doing the things that we were doing. And I knew I am HLA-B27 positive, and if you don't know what that is the genetic marker that they use in conjunction with other testing to come to the diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis. We both knew that he could be tested for this genetic marker, but we knew that there's a 50% chance that he will be negative, and from there, because I have it, it's only a 20% chance that he would develop it. And to be quite honest with you, they don't even know. It could be environmental factors. And if you have a rheumatologist that is telling you they know what's going on, or they're too proud to tell you we don't know, then that's a bad rheumatologist, because they don't know. They're still figuring this out. So, I knew that this is all a shot in the dark. This is all a what if. This is all, and I I was thinking, well, maybe between now and when he's 18, there'll actually be more genetic testing. And I think there are 2 more tests that they've come out with that help narrow it down. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. But the bottom line is, we didn't tell our son about this genetic testing. We were waiting until he was 18, and then we were going to give him the decision. It was not ours to make. I know that some people might find that controversial, but once again, just because you have the marker doesn't mean you're going to develop the disease, and sometimes you have the disease and you don't have the marker. So we were not going to saddle a child with this information. We wanted him to be the adult to make the decision. And he was dating his first girlfriend. Her parents were GPs. And after talking to my son, I got a new perspective that's helped me not be so frustrated by this. And I'll explain why when I go to his side. But he went and started asking them questions, and they told him there was a genetic testing. And they gave him the test. He was 18, but it robbed us of the ability to sit with him and tell him why we made this decision, what, everything was. It was something that we wanted to talk to him about, and for a while I was very upset that that was taken away from us. But after talking to my son, I realized that I need to let that go, because what I was thinking and what my son was thinking were 2 different things, and I'm more grateful now. So that's really all I can tell you about our mindset, is that, we didn't tell him. We're big old fakers about our pain, and I did my best. Like, I did not grunt, I did not groan. If I had a muscle spasm, I was quiet. I did everything I could to make sure that he didn't know. But there were some problems with that. There were some major problems with that. And let's talk about it. Let's go to why those were problems. And I'm being honest with you, because having this conversation with my son, and truly, I'm embarrassed to say it's not one that we've had before I went to film this, is asking him about these things. So I learned information today. I got information from my son that has helped my heart let go of anger. It's made me understand my son a little bit better. So, blabbering, sorry. Let's get into the questions I asked him and his answers about it. So, you know that the senior Spoonie over here doesn't have any kind of digital technology to read these questions and answers off of. I just have my book. I have many, many journals. I journal all the time. All the time. My husband comes home to me asleep with a pen in my hand. Things that just come to my brain. Like, I know we're talking about my son, but I just actually opened to this page and it's so relevant. It says, "You don't want to see what's inside of me. It would serve only to tear you apart. Until I shudder the last of my breath, all that I am will have protected your heart." Those are the things that come out. So I asked my son when he realized that I was truly sick. And I don't need the book for this, he gave me an answer. I don't drink. And I know you wouldn't know that if you've watched my other videos, but I've been drunk under a handful of times in my life. And we had gone to a New Year's Eve party with my brother and his wife and a bunch of our friends, and because I don't drink, I got really, 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 really drunk, and I'm not proud of it, but I did. My son was an adult at this time, and my husband had had a couple beers, and I was a paralegal for long enough to know that 1 or 2 beer or 1 or 2 glasses of wine can really truly ruin a life or change a life. So it doesn't matter if we've had 1 or 2, we do not drive if we have consumed alcohol. If one of us is going to have a drink, the other one usually drives and does not drink, and that's usually me. But not that night. And my husband called our son to come get us. And I'm being honest with you, and I hope that you'll be kind to me when I tell you this. I don't relish the idea of being, drunk in front of my son, but he was an adult. He came and picked us up, and he said, and I had forgotten about it, on the way home, because loose lips, I had said, if it weren't for you and Dad, I wouldn't be alive. And then I started crying, and I said, I'm in pain every day. It never stops. And he said it hurt. I asked him, how did it make you feel? How did it make you feel when you found out how bad it was? Were you angry that we had kept it from you? Were you disappointed in us? He said he was sad. He was sad, and he said he wasn't upset, it was more shock, because we had done a good job of hiding it. I had done a good job of hiding it. I asked him how he handled it once he found out, because I know about how my husband handles things, and I know a lot about how my son handles things, and I know they compartmentalize, but something like this isn't necessarily things that you can compartmentalize. So he said he pretended it wasn't there, but it affected him more than he thought. As an adult, he's realized that. And as an adult, he's realized that it actually caused him to avoid seeing me. If he didn't see me in pain, then it wasn't there. That's how he dealt with it. And we know that we all do it to some extent, but that's so unhealthy. And if we had known, our son did a fantastic job, just like me, of making us feel like he was okay. And we didn't check in as much as we should have. We didn't. And we should have checked in on him. We should have, and even with the check-in, let's be honest, he was a child, he was a kid, he was going to tell us he was fine. And that's not an excuse. It's not. I also asked him about the HLA-B27 gene and how he felt when he went to his girlfriend's parents and found out that there was a test. Was he mad at us? Was he upset, once again, that we didn't tell him? And, he said that he had gone to ask them questions because of his curiosity. He hadn't remembered, or possibly we didn't use the correct language to explain to him that it was genetic. So he had gone to them, and he had asked them questions. When they told him it was genetic, and he, heard it from them, he wanted to know if he had it. He kept questioning them, and they basically said, well, there's a test for the gene, we can do that. And he made the decision to do it, and he said it was curiosity. And finding out that he hadn't remembered, or there was a miscommunication when we were talking about what this disease was, and to be quite honest with you, we probably glossed over a lot, which is our fault again. And finding out that they provided him that knowledge and the ability to have the test allows me to release some of that anger that it didn't happen my way. Not everything gets to happen my way. So I've released that. Talking to him, I've realized what a mental solace it gave him. He's HLA-B27 negative. We all know that, once again, they don't know anything about it. That doesn't mean he's not going to have the disease, but it definitely lessens his chance. So I asked him, well, how did you feel with the testing? How did you feel when you found out you were negative? And he said that he had prepared for the worst. And by coming to grips with the worst. It wasn't some kind of elation when he found out he was negative. It was just a piece of information that took a bit of worry off his mind, and he just didn't have to deal with it anymore. That's how he felt about it. I asked him, because before he moved out, I hadn't had my stroke, I hadn't had my grand mal seizures. I asked him, now that I've had these things, now that things have started to, there's visual things that are going on that you can't ignore, how he feels as an adult. And he said that right now he's gone through what he feels are all the stages of grief, and he's at an acceptance. And sweetly, very sweetly, because my son and I have been close, and as a boy, as a teenager, there's times where they're closer to their father, times that they're closer to their mother, but my son and I are very, very close. And he said that it was when he moved out, it was for want of seeing me, of spending time with me, that he's realized that he's had to accept that I'm ill, and he's had to accept that I'm going to look ill, and that it might make him a little sad because he wants to spend time with me. Which, by the way, almost cried this entire mask off when he said that. Alright, I've decided to keep the last question until the end because, full disclosure, I probably will cry. This was too many minutes or too long of a very sick life for me to weep it off before we're about to be done, right? My son said, after I had asked him all the questions, he was like, I want to say something, but make sure everybody knows that I'm speaking for myself as me who feels like I'm logical and rational. But he said, if you were to do it over again, I would want you to tell me. Because if you had sat down and put all the chips out on the table and said, this is what it is, then he said he could have put it all together and figured out a way to deal with it. He said, but because he was getting these small pieces of visuals and information, it was left for him to fill in the blanks. And he said, when you fill in the blanks, most of the time it's not the right answer. So I thought that was a very thoughtful response, and I just wanted to share that with you if you are somebody who's dealing with it with kids. And like I said, that's his feeling. I am in no way telling you how to parent your children. Not my job. I did mine, and I'm still doing it. But I wanted to let you know. I wanted to let you know how we felt. The last question that I asked my son was, once again, now that I've had the stroke, now that I've had my grand mal seizures, now that we are getting neurological, now that there are some very serious things going on, does he think about me a time when I'm going to be gone? Does it enter his brain? And this was a very hard question for me to ask, because if you've been paying attention, my entire being just wants to protect this child from what I'm going through. Everything that I have just wants to protect him from my pain. And he gave an answer. If you watch the second part of my epic love story, my husband and I have been together for 22 years, since I was 17 years old. 17. I am 39 years old now, over half of my life. And it's not just a stay together for the child. We are really, truly in love. Really, truly in love. It's a beautiful, blessed marriage. And I asked him if he thought about it, and he said, no, not in the sense of how I would feel, because I can't even comprehend that. And I don't take any credit for this answer. This is all my husband. He said, but I worry about Dad. I worry about how Dad's going to be when you're gone, because so much of his life is taking care of you, so much of his life is loving you, that I feel like I'm going to have to step in and take care of Dad. And we'll have to take care of each other. So, my almost 21-year-old son is thinking about how he's going to take care of his father when I'm gone. And that's why this hurts me, because no 20-year-old, no 21-year-old, no child, it's like, he's an adult now, but he's still a child. Nobody should have to think about that. To have that specter hanging over them. It's a sad thing. So, and I thought that was such a selfless, beautiful answer. My son's a Cancer. He's very sensitive, which I did not know until he became an adult. Because just like me, he's a faker. And he faked a lot of the things that hurt him. He kept it inside. But my son is the kindest human being. And he is the first to put his hand out to help me up. He carries my purse for me. You know, this 20-year-old guy, he carries my purse, and he has no F's to give about what people think of him. And when he was growing up, I wanted to take responsibility for teaching him how to treat women and how to treat people, but, you know, especially women and children, and just how to treat other human beings. But nothing I said was going to matter if my husband didn't reinforce what I was saying with action. And he did. My husband reinforced everything about how you treat people, how you treat women, how you handle the people that you love and care for. He learned that all by watching my husband. So, whew, I got a little braggy, but I don't care. That's my baby. And I just wanted to get this information out to you. I know it might seem like a departure, but I think I would have wanted to watch a video like this when I was wrestling with how we handle talking to our son. And I wanted to put it out there for you guys. So, and I never say this in my videos, I don't know why, probably because I figure YouTube has been around for long enough that you know, but if you could maybe throw me a like, subscribe if you like the content, you know, a like is free, and just enough because I did all this, and you know the pain and the energy and the spoons that it takes to get this information out to you guys. So that's it. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you, to exercise it, to have a community. And I'll finish the way that I always finish. Pain recognizes pain, and I always see you. I love you guys. Bye.